live struggle legacy. It's a whole movement.
I got you, big baby. I keep the struggle live struggle, live music. Pay attention to how we do it. And so my dog who never made it out. Live struggle, I got you, homie. We break it out, live struggle, live music. Pay attention to how we do it. And so my dog who never made it out. Live struggle, I got you, homie. The things we do when we down on our luck, like a dolphin, anything to get fucked up. What you think? Now we out here trying to get locked up. Desperation brings desperate measures trying to come up.
Gotta get that good energy flowing. All right. Hey everybody, it's your boy MP, Live Struggle Legacy, and welcome to the Live Struggle Legacy Podcast, Season 3. Now, real quick, if you haven't already done so, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification button, start a conversation, drop a comment. If you're listening on a streaming platform, please make sure you hit that follow button, download, save, rate us. And if you're looking to promote your business, holler at me because we're looking for sponsors. Okay. So me and this guest right here, we go way back. This is one of the OGs. So I'm very happy to introduce and excited to have on the show, Cristina Vargas.
Thank you.
So I've been knowing Cristina since like 9th grade, but she's doing something really incredible now. We're going to talk about it on the show. She started doing something called Fiesta Picks 360, which evolved into what is now known as the Booth Maven. So we'll get into what that is and how it could potentially benefit you. But I always like to do a little icebreaker and kind of tell you a story about how I know Cristina, and then maybe she might have a story about me. You never know, right? So first of all, thank you for coming on to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm happy to have you.
Very excited.
I'm excited too. I've been super excited about this episode.
Yeah, I'm like, it's my first podcast. So
okay, go.
That's exciting.
Well, you know, I love to celebrate my friends and their passions and their businesses, you know, so I always get super excited, especially people that go way back because, you know, we went to the same high school, we grew up in the same area, and not all of us even made it this far.
Yeah.
You know, so to see you like thriving, it makes me really, really happy, and it's something to celebrate.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
So we're gonna celebrate it today.
Yes.
So Cristina, we went to the same high school, so I knew her from high school, but she was also next door neighbors from my best friend, who was also been on the show too. If you remember Orlando Padron, Raider World. If you go back to season 2, he has the custom bike modification YouTube channel. Right, but we've been best friends since like 9th or 10th grade, going back to 14, 15 years old. And Cristina was always the next door neighbor,
yes.
So we would always see her.
The girl next door.
Literally the girl next door. Yes. So I really want to share this story, right? So Cristina, if I'm not mistaken, was kind of like a homebody. Didn't really go out very much. But like right after high school, we would all get together around the holidays. People would be in from out of town. And I remember this particular night. It was actually Thanksgiving night, right? It was Thanksgiving night, yep. And we back then, it was Fuel in Ybor City, Club Fuel, right? It had like a couple different stories, like a couple different clubs within the club. You got like dance hall reggae over here, hip hop over there, right? So we all would... Yeah, and so we would mob out the Fuel, and like something that I always did back then, I would try to get all the homies together, like all different walks of life, people meeting each other, right? And so that was one of those nights where it was like a whole bunch of us. It was like a bunch of the high school homies, a couple of the street homies, you know, and just a whole bunch of homies, right? Yeah. And so we're getting close to the end of the night, we're all hanging out, and I remember there were these 2 girls that I was trying to link with like the whole night. They were at another club. They were at like one of the preppy clubs, like Club Edo or whatever, up the street, right? And so I'm like, they're like, oh, what you doing after? Whatever. So, you know, the club lets out, everybody links, people are figuring out what they're going to do. Like, are they going home? Are they after party? Whatever, right? And so I remember I was all excited. I was like bragging to the homies, and like Cristina was right there with the homies, you know, and I'm like, yeah, I got, you know, I'm going with these 2 girls, right? And Cristina pulled me aside and she was like, Michael Paul, she's like, I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I got a really bad feeling. and you probably shouldn't drive. It's like, please. And I remember you
Yeah.
you looked at me like dead ass serious.
Yeah.
And you were like, Michael Paul, please don't drive. I'm like, Christina, I've been doing this, I got this, you couldn't tell me nothing. I was 19 years old, And so, long story short, that's the first night I went to jail. The first night I ever went to jail. I got in the car with those two girls, and then this dude, God bless the dead, Lorenzo, he's no longer with us, but it was me, the two girls, and Lorenzo. And I went to pull off the Ybor Strip, and a cop started following me. And just before I got on the interstate ramp, he lit me up. Yep, he lit me up, and I had a whole bunch of stuff.
Now,
you know what I
you
mean?
thinking in your head, I should have listened to Cristina.
Exactly. I mean, to this day, and that was so. I'm 41 years old, right? I was 19 years old. Christina, that was 21 years ago.
I know.
That means I've been knowing you like 25
That's
years
crazy.
or something crazy.
That's crazy.
You know,
Still
that
look
is
19 though, right?
that is wild. Yeah, but look, yeah, we still look like 40.
But I
as
still
far-
feel 19.
As far as we're concerned, 40 is the new 20.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Because I don't think we look a day over 25.
I agree.
Personally.
I agree.
Y'all agree? Okay, so enough about our situation. I just want to share that because that's a memorable story. Now, if you have a story about me, they love stories, but
Yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't until you brought it up to me that it's kind of one of those moments where you're like, oh, wait, I do remember that. Like, you don't think about it, and then somebody brings it up, and you're like, it all starts coming back to you again. So, yeah, very cool. I always remember you being with Orlando. You guys were like, that was your road dog.
Yeah.
I don't remember you being in high school a lot. I wonder why. But there was always, honestly, it's funny that you say, that I was kind of like more of a homebody, because that was me. I was very sheltered growing up, so I was in the house a lot. And I always knew you guys for going out, partying, which is cool. But I always felt like this endearing spirit from you, like just, I don't know, there was something about you that I was like, and maybe that was why, the reason that night that I said, I don't think that you should drive, I've always kind of had this like instinctual, like, I don't know, mother instinct kind of, like, so it's cool that you remember that, and I'm glad, 20 years later, we're here and we are able to connect doing something great,
that's
So,
a beautiful thing. It really is. It's something we're celebrating.
very cool. Yeah, I'm excited.
Same. So let's get into Christina's live story. Tell us a little bit about your background, your however deep you want to go into it, and then how we came to, where we're at today.
Yeah, so like you said, my name is Cristina Vargas. I am a St. Pete native. So I wasn't born here in Florida, but I was raised here.
Where
for
you
the most
born?
part. New York,
What part?
Brooklyn.
Okay.
Yeah. So we moved here probably when I was like 5 years old. So
Okay.
I was pretty much raised here in Florida. The same house that my mom lives in now is the same house that I grew up in, and she's still neighbors with Orlando's
Is
mom.
that, yeah, she's
They're,
so your
really
mom's
close.
still there too?
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah, so they're still really close friends. Went to high school, like you said, a very sheltered life. I had very strict parents, probably my dad more so than my mom. I didn't, I don't want to say that I had really a struggle growing up, because, I'm grateful, and honestly, I had a good life compared to most people. I mean, we were by no means like had money growing up or anything like that. So we lived a very sheltered, maybe sometimes below poverty level. But I came up in a good household. I had two parents that loved us. I had brother and sister, good siblings, like nothing that I could complain about, I recently launched a photo booth business, which is called the Booth Maven, but formerly known as Fiesta Pix 360. I launched that business in 2023. It's been a labor of love, but I've enjoyed it, honestly. One of the struggles that I could say probably starting this business was not so much the business part, but more internally. And that was having a mindset of, I would say probably like a scarcity mindset. Meaning I dealt a lot with like imposter syndrome, you know? So you see all these people, you know, maybe starting a business or doing great things, and you think to yourself, like, I could never do that, or I'm not good enough to do that. I was very quiet, you know, kid growing up, very shy. I can even remember like my mom saying when I started school, the teacher wanted to put me in special ed classes because I was so quiet, they didn't think I spoke English. Like, that's how quiet I was. So I think that's always kind of been a part of me, and that kind of translated to the business aspect. So for me, that has been my struggle, because it's trying to overcome some of those things. And by doing that, it's just been really surrounding myself with people who are kind of in the same mindset as me and doing the same things, making the same moves. Because when you are associating yourself with people who are not doing anything, you kind of stay in that same bubble,
Yes,
you know? So one of the things that I've committed to recently is doing things like this, like networking, doing things that are completely out of my comfort zone, even if it's uncomfortable, doing it anyway. Because, you know, the more you do stuff, the more comfortable you get, you know? So that has been my struggle in the business world, that I'm still working on, and I'm sure many people can relate. So, yeah.
So I got some questions.
Yeah.
All right, so I read your bio,
Yeah.
and it was pretty dope, right? And it gave me some pretty strong insight on some stuff that I didn't even know, knowing you know, over 20 years. But so you talked about, you know, kind of getting bored quick, and how you kind of dabbled in business, trying to do other things, and just nothing really stuck. You kind of lost interest. But what was it about what was initially Fiesta Pix 360 that really kept you moving, kept you going? And
yeah, it's crazy because I've always had this kind of like, I get bored very easily. Like I always, like I will want to learn something and I want to execute it, and then it'll kind of like fizzle out. So I have had a few other business ventures. My sister always jokes with me. She's like, girl, how many things are you going to do? You know, like my family. And I'm like, just nothing has stuck, you know? But when I launched the photo booth business, there was something about like the experience that you create in that was very meaningful to me. And so I mentioned earlier, like I have this kind of like, I'm all about like feel good experiences, you know? So when you're a part of events, like say, for example, like weddings or, you know, birthdays, like sweet 16s and stuff like that, those are really significant moments in people's lives. And like, even if I'm not participating in those events, like when I'm there, it's like something that you're capturing these moments, and you see these people that, you know, are enamored by the experience of like, you know, a photo booth, you know, and they love the experience. It's something cool, and you get to see the reactions like, oh my God, this is, you know, so great or whatever. So I think that part of it kind of kept my interest, because no event was ever the same. It was always something different. And it also kept my creative part kind of intact, because when you're doing these events, you're constantly looking for ways to reinvent yourself and how can you be better and what other services that can I provide. So it's been really cool to kind of like explore that, because, you know, in some of these events, like I'm creating, you know, picture templates or different services, and just that experience in itself, like when I'm presenting it to the client and they get like really excited about it, it's just never the same. Every event is always different. So I think that part of it has kind of kept me going and kind of fueled me to be like, okay, now I want to do this, or now I want to expand on this, or maybe now I want to do this type of rental. So that's been kind of cool about the whole process.
And I can see that because, you know, I follow you on socials, and I've seen it in person. It's super dope. Well, we'll get into more of that later. But just to your point, what I can see, like, not only is it a different place, but you're doing like all demographics, like all walks of life, and then you're changing your props out all the time, which I think is super cool. Yeah,
I'm really. What's funny about that is I'm really into curating the experience. Like I would say I'm kind of like a propaholic, but like I love being able to, when somebody says they're having this type of event, like, you know, for example, maybe Halloween that's coming up, I love being able to be like, okay, what can I do that's kind of like cool for Halloween?
Yeah.
You know, like get cool Halloween props, or, you know, go into stores kind of looking for stuff that I can bring to the table, or just a different experience. So that part of it really excites me when I'm doing events.
I can see that. I mean, and clearly, like, you light up when you talk about it. So
Yeah.
it's definitely the lane for you,
Yeah.
for sure. But what inspires you to go the photo booth route?
You know, I wish I had like this super extraordinary story that would be like, oh wow, that's so cool. But initially it was just an average day where you're scrolling through TikTok or any social media platform, and you're kind of looking for ways like, what can I do to make extra money or do, you know, something on the side. And I came across this one, he's a pretty known photo boother, a video about the 360 video booth, which was my first booth. But I was like coming across his videos, and he was like, you know, doing different tutorials and kind of sharing his experiences. And I was like, you know what, that's really cool. I had never even been on the 360. I didn't really know what it was. That was the first time I had seen it. But there was something about like the experience of like curating for people and like being in like that atmosphere that I was like, I think I could do that. Like, I don't know, like that seems kind of cool. So I bought an ebook, and then like on how to start a photo booth business, I bought an ebook, and I was like just kind of going through it, and then just, you know, my mind kept going back to it, like, and I was like, you know what, I started journaling like my goal, like basically step by step, like my goals. Okay, this is what I'm going to do first. The next day, this is what I'm going to work on. And that I didn't tell anybody that I was going to launch that photo booth business, aside from my husband. He knew, but I didn't tell anybody that I was going to do that until I had dotted all my P's and Q's and had it all figured out, until after I did my first event. Like, even when I was looking for an event to do, I posted on my Facebook to just friends and family, like, hey, is anybody having a party or a special event coming up soon that you want something cool like that event? I didn't even say what it was. Like, I didn't say anything. And I had a friend hit me up that she was doing a sweet 16 for her daughter, and I told her, and she was like, yeah, I'd love to do it. And that was I launched it. And after I did my first content video, that's when I put it out there. So I was very strategic in the way that I kind of presented it, because and honestly too, because I'm sure you probably come across this, like sometimes people, the naysayers, will be negative, and even if they don't verbalize it, sometimes they're thinking it, and I just wanted to keep that out of the wheelhouse.
Absolutely,
you know?
and I think that's super wise of you, because people do, and sometimes it's the people that you care about most and that care about you. But the thing is, people are so moved by fear.
Yeah.
You know, so like I could totally see you trying to share, be all excited about it, and people saying, well, you know, such and such does that. When you know,
or this is another business she started. You
yeah,
know?
yeah, and then this is poking holes in your sales, and the fact that you and it's leaking the energy that you needed to lift it off the ground. Yeah, which it's pretty well established by now, right? Yeah. So I'm going to give them a quick rundown of my experience with it. Yeah. Well, you said that was your first booth.
That was my first booth.
So you've evolved. So I've only seen the first booth. I don't even know what you're working with now.
Yeah. Okay. So the 360 video booth, that was my first booth. Now I have a selfie booth, which is a standalone booth where it takes pictures. It's not videos. That booth, when I launched that one, it was digital only, meaning once they took a picture, they could digitally share it, like through text, email, that type of stuff. Recently, I added a print option, so now they can actually print photos.
So like Polaroid kind of deal?
Yeah, it'll come out like 4x6 or the 2x6 strips.
So you get photos on the spot.
You can get photos on the spot and digitally, which is cool. I also started the roaming photo booth, which is not an actual booth, but it's a camera that's connected to a rig where I go to different events and I'll take pictures. But you still kind of get the same experience because the guest is still able to receive their picture instantly. So they can text their picture on the spot, which is really cool. I love doing that for like vendor events, networking events. Like, it's a very engaging kind of thing that honestly, out of all of my booths, that's probably one of my favorites, because I get to interact with people, and the experience that brings, because people are like, oh wait, I get my picture now, like that part of it is really cool to me. Yeah. And then I also started doing like a glam kind of station
Okay.
set up. So the glam, like if you're familiar with the Kardashians and stuff like that, that black and white photo, that kind of gives. Oh, I think even Orlando he was one of my models for that service.
That's what's up.
Yeah. Orlando's been great. Orlando has not only, when I first launched, booked me for services.
That's how I first saw it, but at his party.
Yeah, at his party. And not only did he book me, he didn't ask for a discount. So shout out to Orlando.
Yeah. So that's what you're supposed to do for the homies too. Don't ask homies for discounts. Support the homies. Pay full price.
And also was one of my models for a branding shoot that I did, him and his girlfriend. So
I saw those pictures and they were super dope. They were super dope. You did an amazing job with that.
So that was really cool.
And they did an amazing job for you.
Yeah, I'm like, you guys need to model like in real life. Yeah. They did great.
They're both beautiful people.
Yeah,
you know?
they were great.
I've been looking for a partner that feels like the right fit for this show. A brand that shares the same commitment to quality, comfort, and a better lifestyle. After a lot of research, I found exactly that in Cozy Earth. They create luxury bedding and pajamas made from 100% bamboo, naturally breathable, incredibly soft, and designed to keep you cool and comfortable all night long. It's the kind of product that elevates everyday life, which is exactly the type of brand I want to bring to this community. Cozy Earth also stands behind their products with a 10-year warranty on their premium bamboo bedding, plus free shipping on orders over $50. If you've been looking to upgrade your sleep and align with a brand that fits the values of this show, visit CozyEarth.com and use the code LSL for 40% off your order. That's CozyEarth.com, code LSL for 40% off.
So my experience with it was super. It was a really memorable experience. So it was like a party thing, and this is a 360 one. But it was almost like you shoot your own little music video, right? And it feels like that. And then when you get, because it's 360, it's like you could be super awkward, and it's gonna make you look cool, you know. And
so it's kind of like, oh, that actually came out kind of cool.
Yeah, it did. It was an all around great time.
Yeah.
You know, and the fact that you could instantly text the video like right away, and people could be sharing that right away.
Yeah.
You know, that's huge.
Yeah. And you see, like for me, even those moments like at that party, even like the sharing part, like people seeing their videos like all piled up at the sharing station or watching themselves on the TV, like that's such an experience that people they're not going to forget it, you know?
Yeah, I remember watching other people's laughing, and like you're as excited as the other people's.
It's
even
cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, it's been great.
That's super dope. So, any new like, so you talked about changing the booth, right?
Right.
And just offering kind of just different styles and types of photos, right?
Right.
Okay, cool. Now let's talk about how you went from Fiesta Pix 360 to the Booth Maven.
Yes. So that's an interesting story, and it just happened recently. So I'm still getting used to the name. But one of the learning experiences in owning your own business was
take notes, y'all.
Take notes. So if you're serious and you're going to launch a business, the first thing that you want to do and look into is trademarking your name and your logo, because that is your brand. That protects you legally from other people using that same information. Now, I learned this the hard way, but when I first launched, I didn't know anything about trademarks. And that's kind of one of the learning curves, like when you're starting your business. You don't have anybody telling you, this is how you start a photo booth. You know, any kind of business, whether it's photo booth or something else. So when I first launched, I knew I had to get a domain. And a domain is basically your website. So www. whatever, make sure nobody has the same name. I used GoDaddy for that, which they check the domain, you can create your website, kind of all in one, you know? And so I thought I did everything I was supposed to. I verified, you know, no other name with that same name, good to go. 2 years later, which is now, I'm a part of a lot of like photo booth groups. And one of the groups that I'm in, somebody had mentioned something about trademarks and, people having a lot of variations of the same name. And I kind of was like, well, wait a minute, like, what is that? So I was like, maybe I need to trademark my name. So I started looking into it and Googling it and kind of just researching, like, what exactly did that mean? So in that process, you can get a trademark that's for the state that you live in, so in Florida, or you can get a federal trademark, which covers all 50 states. So, and the one that's federal trumps the one in Florida, like one that you would have in Florida. So when I was looking into it, I saw that another company had a very, very similar name to mine that was trademarked. And what's crazy is they filed the paperwork for the trademark in May of 2023, and I launched in June of 2023. So literally a month before I launched my business. So I had read that there are some common laws, like basically like if you were promoting your business and you have proof that you were doing business before they trademark, you do have some rights. It's a little harder to fight, but you do have some rights. But because I didn't have that, I didn't really have any feet to stand on. So I actually consulted with an attorney because I wanted to kind of see what my options were. And I told him the names because one of the things that they look at is, do you guys have similar names? Are you doing the same service? Are you guys local to each other? And can people confuse you? Meaning like, can they mistake my business for his or vice versa? Which they could. Close. They were too close. Literally, it was one word difference. And I'm not going to say his name because, that doesn't matter. But so I was like, and we have had people, I knew about this business. I've seen them, but I was not really like, I'm not the type to be like competing with people. I'm always like, if it's for me, it's for me. And I don't worry about that stuff. But technically he could send me a cease and desist, And so he hadn't done that, but I was like, what do? Wait another 2 years? Maybe my brand goes bigger and then he sees that I'm growing bigger and then decides to do it. So I just decided, let me change the name now and rebrand everything, and then I don't have to worry about it. So I was on a hunt for names like, okay, there's so many photo boothers out there with, every name you could think of: party, fun, picture, photo, and so it was really difficult for a while. I was like, oh, what am I going to call myself? I don't want to just be anybody. And so I picked Maven, the Booth Maven, because Maven stands for like expert or kind of connoisseur. So I was like, I think that's kind of like the perfect fit for what I'm doing, because I don't want to be like every other photo booth. I'm creating or curating these experiences for people that I want to separate myself from the average person. So even though it's different, I thought it was like the perfect come up for the rebrand. So
absolutely, and it opens up things. You're the expert, so you could go down any lane.
And it's not so focused on just one. When people thought of Fiesta Fix 360, they just thought of the 360
booth. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yes.
So tell us what you got cooking. Anything that to be on the lookout for, or anything that like you maybe. I get if you want to keep things under wraps, but if there's something that you do want to,
no, I mean I'm an open book. I don't keep secrets, so I'll give you guys all the tea.
Absolutely, spill the tea.
So I probably will expand on some other booths. One thing that I'm kind of focusing on now, which I haven't really vocalized too much, is getting in this space of. I started using my TikTok platform, and this is so out of my wheelhouse, but again, I'm doing things that are out of my wheelhouse, that things are making me uncomfortable, because I'm just saying, this is the season for that. So that platform, I use it to teach people about the photo booth business, like how to start.
Oh, that's dope. So helping other entrepreneurs.
Like 2 tips and tricks. So
I got to make sure I follow you. I don't know if I'm on your TikTok. I know I'm on your IG.
Yeah. So that page I dedicated to things to look out. If you're going to start a photo booth, this is what you should do, or tips and things like that.
Yeah.
So that page, once I shifted it's just so crazy how things work. So once I shifted to that realm, that page has started to like really take off. And I'm like, who would have known that people want to know about photo booth business?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy to me, but here we are. And now just recently, I'm probably, and this is by no means a lot, because I'm sure a lot of people have, I know a lot of people have way more followers, but now we're pushing about like 1,200, maybe a little bit more followers, but it's like growing. Like I'm surprised how quickly it's growing. And I just recently had a business reach out to do a collab. So they actually sent me a photo booth for free in exchange to make videos.
That's dope.
So that's kind of been like where my headspace is at. I've thought about kind of doing an ebook too, or give people kind of like the play by play like basics, like if they wanted to do something like that. Which people will probably say, why are you spilling all the secrets? And people are gonna be, but again, I'm in this space where I'm like, listen, there's enough business out here for everybody. Like, there's no gatekeeping. Like, and I'm always like, I love people, watching people succeed in things that they want to do, and if I can help do that, I will. And I just, there's enough business out there for everybody. So what's for me will always come to me, and if I can't do something, push it to other people. So
yeah,
that's kind of where I've been, more on that journey, like just exploring, okay, where can I help people do this? Like, so that's like another branch of it.
I love that you're doing that, and congrats on getting so basically a sponsor, right? Like a real deal sponsor. Yeah, that's dope.
I know. Who would have guessed? I'm like, they're gonna send me a photo booth? Like, that's so cool.
Well, it just goes to show you, you do something consistent enough. And people start.
No, it's true. Like, I used to be like, I hated going on like TikTok and making videos.
Oh, and that came out of TikTok, right?
Yeah. I'm like, I don't like being on camera, but here I am on camera. But for me, it was always very awkward to be like recording a video and like doing all, like some people it comes like natural to them, but it just felt silly doing it. Like, I'm like, who's gonna watch this, But I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna post it. Who cares? I don't care how I look or how it sounds. I'm just gonna do it. And who knew people were watching it? So
I love that. There's this like saying, I saw this like it was like a reel or a meme or something, and it made perfect sense, and I really resonated. I think it'll resonate with you as well. But basically, it was like when you want to learn something new, and you first start learning about it, it makes you feel dumb.
Yeah.
But you got to feel dumb in order to get wise.
No,
right?
it's true.
Like when you start a new workout plan, you feel weak.
Yeah.
But then you keep doing it, and then you get strong. So you got to feel weak in order to get strong. And it's like whenever you're starting to feel uncomfortable, or even a little bit maybe scared, it's like that's the recipe. That's the elixir, the secret sauce.
No, it really is.
Yeah, to growth and expansion.
Yeah. No, I agree 1,000%. Because now I'm just like, everything that I'm like, oh, makes me feel like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. But I'm just like, no, I'm going to do it anyway, because sometimes you have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. And, people don't know how you feel. They don't know that you're uncomfortable. And like one of the things that I've been doing lately is doing like a lot of networking events. And so I'm meeting other people in the same space, maybe not photo booth. I mean, sometimes they're other photo booth owners, but like in the event world, like wedding photographers, event coordinators, planners, and stuff like that. So surrounding yourself around those people really puts you in a different mind space, because now you're like, okay, these people are like, you see people who are succeeding and doing their thing, and it's like, I can do that. Like, I can be like, if they can do it, I can do it. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's the mindset you gotta have.
No, absolutely. I love that. Also, there's one question, and you kind of started to touch on it, but I don't know if you finished the thought. You were talking about how you went from this kind of scarcity mindset to this abundance mindset.
Yeah.
And I just want to know if you have any maybe tips for others, because a lot of people struggle with that, and they don't feel like they're worthy, and they, like one of my real close homeboys always says, they block their blessings, so to speak. So what do you do to keep that abundance kind of mindset and that energy?
Yeah, it's something that you work on every day. And honestly, faith plays a big part of my daily. So whenever I feel inadequate or just something doesn't feel right, and people may not agree, but I take it to God, like this is how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to feel this way. Like, give me the courage. Like, if I'm feeling not courageous, give me the courage. Like, if I'm feeling where I'm anxious about something, I ask him to remove the anxious. And I just kind of, along with that, like, it's kind of just exposing myself to things that I haven't been used to or I'm not comfortable with, because that's the only way that you're going to kind of push through those feelings,
Yeah.
So every time where I think I'm inadequate or I don't belong in the room, because that was a big part. Like, I would feel like I would go to these events and be like, these people are like, bigger, like they have like, they're doing really well. Who am I, a little photo booth operator? Like every time I felt that way, I had to remind myself, like, no, I do belong here. And I can't even tell you how many times that I've gone to places where maybe I felt that way and somebody will come up to me, and even if it's an encouraging word or something, like, oh, I saw you, like you doing this, like that's so cool, like, oh, can you come to my event, like those kind of things will kind of make you realize, like, man, like, why do I feel like this about myself? Like, other people are viewing you in a different aspect, so it's kind of just like something that you constantly work on, constantly telling yourself, like, I can do this, like, block out the noise, surround yourself around good people that are going to lift you up. Not for nothing, but my sister, she's a big part of, she's a big cheerleader of mine, and we're completely different. We're opposites. Like, I'm very introvert, kind of like that shy, fearful, like I can't do this. And she is social butterfly, out there, will talk to anybody, will network with anybody, like, and so she pulls me out of myself a lot of times. And she'll be like, where I'm scared in the room, she's like, oh, have I told you about my sister and her bit? Like, she's constantly like pulling me up. And so she honestly gives me a little bit of like, like she edges me on, like, girl, you got this, you can do this. So she's been a big inspiration too.
That's awesome. And thank you so much for sharing all that, because I think maybe some people needed to hear that out there, because a lot of times we feel like we're not worthy of things, and we give up before we even try. And to let people know that you don't have to have superpowers to make a dream come true or to follow through with a business plan. You just need positive reinforcement, and you're proof of that. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So let's promote. Tell these people how they can book the Booth Maven, and where they can find you, how they can connect with you. You got all these people watching.
Yes. So I'm on all social media platforms. So my website where they can book services is www.theboothmaven.com.
Spell Maven real quick.
It's MAVEN.com. Yeah. So that's my website. All the services are on there. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. Both are under the Booth Maven. And then if you're on TikTok and you want to learn a little bit more about the photo booth world, you can follow me there. My name on there is Behind the Booth. So that's kind of cool. And what was the other? Did you ask me any other questions?
So any other platforms that you?
So just IG, Facebook, my website, and TikTok for those who are.
What's the IG?
IG is the Booth Maven.
Oh, the Booth Maven. Okay, yeah. But the one exception is TikTok, and that's
TikTok is Behind the Booth.
Behind the Booth.
Behind the Booth, because that one is more geared towards starting a photo booth business and tips and tricks and stuff like that.
Excellent. I gotta follow that because I'm interested myself. And make sure y'all do too. So you got all these people watching. You already gave a lot of game, but is there any closing remarks? Anything you want to leave the people with?
Well, first, I want to thank you for having me here. So I think it's so dope what you're doing for people in the community, like giving them a platform to talk about whether it's their business or just life experience. I think that's so cool.
Thank you.
And I really hope that God blesses you with favor to grow it even more. And so, follow, like, and subscribe Mike's page. Even people I know. So once I post this, I'll tell people. But if I can give any word of encouragement to anybody is, no matter if you're in the realm of thinking about starting your own business, and maybe fearful to try something new, I would just say it doesn't matter like what the idea is, no matter how big or small. You never know what small idea could turn into a big explosion, so just stay focused, surround yourself with people who are going to lift you up and support you, that you can network with, and you can continue to learn from, because honestly I learn from other people, with things that they're doing. When I see someone doing well, I'm like, oh, that's really cool that they did that, and I might be able to incorporate that in some of the stuff that I do. So I hope, even if you listen to a little bit of part of this podcast, that maybe I gave you some helpful info, but that's my hope for all of you. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much.
At Autism Acceptance
Cristina
All-Stars,
Vargas,
it's more than awareness,
Booth
it's
Maven. Make sure
action.
you check
When you
her out
sign
at
up at the
boothmaven.com.
AAAS.org, you join the movement for acceptance, inclusion, and real impact. Don't miss our Memories Delivered program. We bring professional photographers right to the homes of autism
It's
families,
live
capturing
struggle
genuine
legacy.
moments in the comfort
If
of
you
their
haven't
own
already done so,
space.
please make sure you
Becoming
hit
an
that
All-Star is
subscribe
free,
button,
but
that
the
like
difference you
button, that
make is
notification
priceless.
button. If
Visit
you
the
have some questions for Cristina and the
AAAS.org
Booth
today.
Maven, of course,
Be
follow her on
seen,
TikTok, but
be
you can drop them
heard,
in the
be an
comments.
all-star.
If you're
If you'd like to
listening on a
promote your
streaming
business on the
platform,
show,
please make sure you
please
hit that
DM us for
follow button,
sponsorship
download,
opportunities. Thanks for
save
tuning
the
in. We out.
notification bell, rate
Live
us.
Struggle Legacy.
If you're looking
It's
to
a whole
promote your
movement.
business, holla at me. We're looking for sponsors. And make sure you check out livestrugglelegacy.com. We post new music on there. We got merch on deck, and you can connect. All right, so I appreciate y'all checking in. Live Struggle Legacy. We're building pyramids.